So I say to everyone in Albany, especially to the state senate, don't fear speed cameras. They're here to help us. They're here to protect lives. Think about all of your constituents who are yearning for safety. We have to do everything we know how to do to keep them safe. This is one of the best ways to do it.
You know, in 2017, we have an increase of hit and run. You know, as Chief Chan shared with us, in 27, we have 46,000 hit and run, an increase of a couple of hundreds more than 2016. Speed camera will allow the NYPD to be able to capture those criminal drivers that leave the scene. But also a speed camera can save the life of our students.
Shame to those legislators, but we're coming to Albany to get this done. This is 2018. Thank you.
Well, definitely hit and run is an epidemic that is affecting our city and that we can eradicate. We need to put more pedestrian bollards to protect our schools, our congestions, pedestrian area that we have in our city. But also we need to be sure that we put more resources to fight against the hit and run drivers. I've been calling for the city also to double the number of men and women in investigation squad units. That today we only have 25 members in that unit in the NYPD. The NYPD need more men and women power to be able to investigate those 46,000 hit and run, where many of them they are damage related, but then we have 4,000 individuals that they end in critical condition in the hospital, and one New Yorker is dying every week in our city, something that we can prevent. So no doubt that we need to act to call on Albany to put more resources, to provide more support to the DAs through the 5 boroughs so that they can prosecute those criminal drivers, and the city also should put more funding to double the number of men and women in the investigation squad unit.
Interventions like speed cameras reduce driver speeding by 16%, according to the Department of Transportation. And an analysis by WNYC found a 13% reduction in crashes near speed cameras. But right now we are limited to our 140 speed cameras in our city, and only 7% of our schools are covered. Let me say that again. Only 7% of our schools are covered. And what makes it even worse is that most of them, despite the fact that 3/4 of fatal crashes occur between 6 p.m. and 6 a.m., the cameras are not operating. And so our children just don't operate during those hours. We need cameras 24/7. And we need to expand the number of sites where cameras are located, because this leaves millions of school children vulnerable to speeding drivers and traffic crashes, and we have a common sense intervention at our fingertips. And so I'm calling upon the state legislature to step up and to provide and increase the number of these cameras to the city of New York.
Look, it really is this simple. Legislators in Albany who refuse to put speeding cameras in front of our public schools value the impunity of reckless drivers more than the lives of our children. It is that simple. There's not much else to say.
The thought that Albany would let this program expire is unthinkable. Not only do we need it renewed, we need it expanded. As you've heard from all the speakers today, it has saved lives on the streets of New York. And we're going to be in Albany next week bringing the fight up. Thank you.
In 2017, the New York City Police Department issued over 149,000 speeding summonses. And this year, in 2000, year to date, 2018, we've issued over 35,000 speeding summonses. So ultimately, these summonses will change the culture and the habits of our motorists out there, will save lives and prevent injuries.
We need to get them to slow down. So it's incumbent upon all of us, and it's with us, the United Federation of Teachers, standing with the community, with our elected officials, to ensure that we get this done.
Stop playing politics with our kids' lives. Right. We are urging you to give us the tools we need to protect our kids. The speed safety program works. We need every school to have these life-saving devices. So we want to end by again communicating to anyone who will listen how committed we are to making this happen, to stand with Denise and other members of Families for Safe Streets to make sure that these preventable deaths are indeed prevented. Safe streets now!
Safe streets now!
Safe streets now!
Safe streets now! Safe streets now!
You say expires. If the bill expires in July, that means all the cameras that are working right now will not be in effect September?
Correct. Correct. Which is, I think...
So you want to keep those cameras operating and then add another 150, is that correct?
Correct. And one of the challenges, speaking of, so the way the law is written now, we can only place the cameras on the streets that abut the school. But as is often the case, this is the case with 9th Street, the street that abuts the school may not be the main street that the kids are walking on.
Right.
So the legislation would also allow us to do a radius, so that we would get at all the roads that are coming into the school. Because often the school abuts a small street. Kids often have to cross, like Northern Boulevard, and they have to cross a big street to get to the school. And obviously, we want to be able to put cameras in those places.
Like Bay Ocean Parkway, Shore Parkway also. They originally put it by the Bell Parkway. No one's crossing a highway to get into school. But when they moved it, I asked you to move it. You did move it. It's much better.
That was one
it dropped. Yeah, it was unbelievable. It really worked. That was one more thing. Is there any way to prevent the 46,000 hit and runs that are going on currently in New York City?
Well, that's a wonderful issue, and it's one that the council has really taken up. We now are going to have like an Amber Alert for hit and runs,
right.
And there's a big focus on it. It's a challenging issue, as you know. There's also been talk of legislation that would increase the penalties for when you do catch people with hit and runs.
Okay.